All right, we are going to summarize organic reaction as requested by one of the members of the group. And what we're going to do, remember, we have three types of reactions. We have the addition and substitution and elimination reaction. And in order to summarize it, I have the alkene, alcohol, and haloalkanes. And remember, the key important thing we need to know here is this, the reaction conditions, because the reaction condition is going to tell us what the product and the homologous series in which is going to belong, the reaction conditions. We are going to start with the addition reactions, and the very first one will be hydrogenation from the alkene to the alkane. The very first one is hydrogenation. And in hydrogenation, we can use the nickel, we can use the platinum, or we can use the palladium as a catalyst. And also we may use nonpolar solvent. To take note of that, that's the reaction condition there. Any of these, but mostly we'll be concentrating on the platinum. And another addition reaction we're going to talk about will also be hydration. And hydration is the addition of water, and is also a type of addition reaction. And in hydration, the condition you must know, we are using concentrated phosphoric acid or sulfuric acid. And in addition to that, we're also using excess water. Take note of the conditions involved in hydration reaction. And another addition reaction which we also talk about will be halogenation, which is the addition of any of the halogens. And in halogenation, we must make sure that no polar solvent like a water that is present, otherwise you will be adding water instead of adding halogens. And also the solvent you must use must be non-reactive. The solvent will also be non-reactive. We can also talk about addition of hydrogen halides, hydrohalogenation. In this very case also, there should be no water molecule. So these are the basic, the ones I've written in black here, they represent their addition reaction. And take note of their condition. Now I will go to other type of reaction, which is a substitution. In the case of substitution, I'll be using a red marker. And the very common one we should note is from haloalkane to alcohol. This one is very common. We call it hydrolysis. This one is very common in exams. And in using hydrolysis, we are going to use a dilute strong base, which may be sodium hydroxide or potassium hydroxide, even sometimes lithium hydroxide. And here we are heating, but it's a mild, we applied a mild heat. And I want you to pay much a particular emphasis on this, because when we start talking about elimination reaction, we will see the other type of reaction that is similar to this, which is hydrohalogenation. Just pay more attention to this. I'm saying you can convert haloalkane to alcohol using the process called hydrolysis. And another important one is from alkane to halogenation. And this one, you normally use the sunlight, the energy provided by the sunlight, the UV light from the sunlight is enough for this reaction to take place. It's also a form of substitution reaction. So in the case of substitution reaction, we'll talk about each of these reactions in detail, but I want you to see the overall view because we are trying to summarize it here. I want you to see the overall view so that you will be able to identify which reaction is substitution and which one is addition or elimination. Then let's go to the last one. I'm using a blue marker here and I'm using it to represent elimination reaction. Elimination reaction. And in elimination reaction, you can convert haloalkane to alkene. From haloalkane, it's possible we convert it to an alkene. And in that very case, we call it D, which is now elimination reaction. We call it dehydrohalogenation. Dehydrohalogenation, and it's the one I say is similar to this. The most in common this thing here is this. In here, we are using concentrated strong base. We are using a concentration strong base, which can also be sodium hydroxide, which can also be sodium hydroxide or potassium hydroxide, and also lithium hydroxide, all the alkali earth metals in group 1. All their hydroxides, potassium, lithium, potassium, and sodium. So the major difference there is this. Here is concentrated, but in the case of substitution, it is dilute. Then another condition here is that we are heating. Heat is required here. And here we are heating strongly, but here we are heating mildly. So take note of that. Sometimes the examiner uses this to test us whether we understand the basic difference between the two. And another elimination reaction which I will talk about is also from alcohol to alkene, which we call dehydration, which means the removal of water. And in that very case, we are using also concentrated sulfuric acid, H2SO4, concentrated sulfuric acid, and we are also applying heat. So take note of the conditions of this reaction. Take note of the conditions of this reaction because we're going to talk about all of them in great details and know how do we really, because sometimes in exam, like in question 4, they will give us a flow chart. They will give us a flow chart, and from that flow chart, we'll be able to fill in those information that we have here. And what I'm going to do in our subsequent video now, because I've tried to summarize it here, in subsequent video, then I'll be picking each of these reactions, then we'll now explain it very well. Because if you look at the examination guideline, we're expected to know the major product, the minor product, and also the type of reaction, and also the name of the reaction. So you can see here, hydration is an elimination reaction. Hydration is an example of elimination reaction. So we're going to pick them one after the other and use them to summarize this topic so that we'll make sure there is no confusion there and you will not be able to get this kind of question wrong anymore.